And that is why Romeo and Juliet is the most romantic and tragic love story of all time.
You're finally going to Verona. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon popped a question while you're there. It's like Shakespeare said, if thou dost desire, thou must put thine ring upon it.
I think that's fiance.
Fiance.
Kat, I want to start with you. You play a woman who's having her dream come true. She's leaving the States to go to Verona to experience Romeo and Juliet. And she's so positive and fun-loving and just is so excited, but she's faced with this awkward situation in that she must share a room with a total stranger who's kind of rude. So I love that she changes her so that we see the many aspects of a woman. You know, I really enjoyed that.
Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. You know, I think the circumstances of her going, originally it was her dream vacation, but she thought she was going with her boyfriend, potential fiance, and she decides to, I mean, once she gets dumped, she still decides to go anyway. So I think her dream was already shattered a bit. So the positivity of trying to move forward, even though everything is going wrong, I think comes to a head when she meets Charlie and has to share a villa. That's when it's kind of fight or flight, and she decides to fight him to the death for her peace.
She's quite the warrior, as we learn.
Little and mighty.
Yes, indeed. Now, Tom, your character is the awkward guy who's in the room that she thinks she should have. And he's not very nice to her. He's kind of obnoxious, you know. Were you concerned at any point that you wouldn't be able to win the audience's heart, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I talked to Mark about this, you know, like where's the limit here of him, you know, being an arsehole, you know, because we do have to win them over. So I think, you know, I think that the big turning point is, you know, when they've had the fake horse and all that sort of scenario. I think we see a turn in Charlie, and we see a kind of a side to him that him realizing as well that he is a bit of an arsehole, you know, and he can be that a lot of the time. But actually he finds Julie quite charming, you know, really. And it's all a front. This is the thing, he's quite insecure probably, really, Charlie, and it's all a front. And I think that's what's important that the audience sees.
Interesting. Because he's in a tough spot too. I mean, he's in a relationship that's not satisfying, and he does nothing but work. So, you know, both of you have your issues. No wonder there's a war breaks out in Verona.
Yeah.
Kat's obsession with Romeo and Juliet's been a lifelong thing. And what does it mean? What does it signify about someone's psychology that they hang on to that?
There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with making romance and hope for love your lifelong thing.
But it was a romance with a bad outcome.
Depending which way you look at it. I mean, they kind of ended up together, so is it that bad?
Yeah, okay. I get it. Leave you alone about that.
Don't come for Romeo and Juliet.
All right, I won't. I'll be all over it. Now, Tom, was it part of the lure to do this project because of the settings, being in Verona, being in a vineyard, being in wonderful Italy?
Well, it certainly helps, doesn't it? It's a good selling point. Yeah, I mean, you'd be lying if you said, you know, when you get these kind of breakdowns through for these roles, when it says it's shooting in Verona, Italy for like 5-6 weeks, it's a pretty appealing idea. But really, for me, it was two things. It was that I'd never really done anything like this before, but also I just really fell in love with the script and the idea of playing a character like this, and also working with Mark as well. I realized the vision he had for the movie, and I just thought it was a really charming film, you know. And yeah, of course, like as soon as you see that it's in Italy, then it's very appealing.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that. The film really gave me something to look forward to at a particularly bad news day around the world, you know, drought, economy, American politics, and all of that. And I thought, I saw Love in a Villa, Romeo and Juliet. I am so in. I think there's a real purpose for these films beyond just entertainment. I think there's a certain comfort in it. What do you think, Kat?
Absolutely. I think it was right when COVID hit, I got approached to do like a thriller or like something pretty dark. And I was talking to my partner in crime, my coach Ivana, and we were like, you know what, people need love and joy, and we want to, you know, be able to bring humanity, because nothing is perfect and no lives are perfect, but I do want to be like, I want to be a vessel to bring good energy and good story, and most importantly, hope to the world.
Yes.
Coming out of a time, kind of out of a pandemic, or trying to get out of a pandemic, where there is so much loneliness and so much hopelessness, and it's one thing after another, like you mentioned, whether it's politics or war and just heartbreak and loss. And I think Love in the Villa is all about looking at the circumstances in your life and saying, you know what, it might not be perfect, but I believe that it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And I'm open to the universe, and who knows what's in store for me. And I think that people really need to hear that right now.
Well said. Thank you both so much. You succeeded brilliantly in that.
I went ahead and made reservations for lunch and dinner every day we're in Verona.
Can't we just play this by ear?
Brandon dumped her. You owe me $5.
I was always the girl with a plan. Are you an Uber?
I am Uberto.
Close enough.
Bloody hell!
What are you doing here?
I'm sorry, are you insane? You've just walked in here.
Buongiorno, Silvio. Buongiorno, Charlie.
I'm just upset about the double booking, which I'm sure Silvio here will clear up for us.
Maybe you can share it.
I don't want to share it, especially not with Bigfoot over here.
She's right, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you gotta hand it to her, otherwise she'd never reach it.
It's time you stop letting the Brandons and the Charlies of the world control the narrative.
Bon appetito! It's my villa.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Not the pecorino.
We celebrate Romeo and Juliet, not Montagues and Capulets.
What are you doing now?
I'm looking for the perfect wine to go with my apology.
You have a lot of flaws, but you're also kind of awesome.
So I'm flawsome?
It's your first day in Verona. You've been here 6 times and you've never seen the place. You need a tour.
Was Verona everything you hoped?
Mark. I was destined for a life of romance.
Destiny is a fantasy.
Can I say I'm a fan?
Look, it's too creepy.
It's tradition. You hold her right breast and you make a wish for love. Just do it.
Oh, that's cold.